Here's my late, procrastinated review of Kanguva, with pictures from November 14th.
Hi guys, welcome back to Lux Mental Move. This is Lux. Today we're going to be talking about the movie Kanguva. On Thursday I went and watched it. Only thing I could say is that fortunately I didn't have a lot of expectations because I was kind of busy with other things. So I want you guys to watch it. I still really enjoyed the movie a lot. But yes, it had so many things that went wrong with this movie. I still had a lot of expectation given Suriya. He usually picks solid plots. Usually is the keyword. I'm gonna start with the negatives first because I still enjoy this movie even though it had so many flaws. So this movie is about it has two different timelines. One that is set in the modern time. It follows modern day Suriya. He's a bounty hunter and he catches the bad guys the cops can catch. And the other one, the other Suriya, he's set in the 11th century as a tribal warrior. He's like there are like I think like 5 clans or 5 different tribes, and he belongs to one of the tribe, and he is the son of the chief. And Kanguva is like a very huge action-packed story connecting these two timelines. And yeah, it had its bad and like low. Let's get into it. No spoilers. Let's start with the negatives. First of all, too much talking. Some of the dialogues were so poetic that and over explaining things instead of just showing us. For example, for example, the antagonist, right? They're two-dimensional. All of them were like, I felt like they were all two-dimensional villains. Actually, I would say almost all the characters are like two-dimensional. But I would say majority of the time you're spending your time watching these two-dimensional characters who are like, yo, I'm doing this is what I'm doing, this is why I hate this guy, this is why I hate this guy, this is why I'm doing this, this is why I'm doing this. It gets tiring. And also I felt like these guys were on held like a timer. You guys really had a timer. 5 seconds to do your line, 5 seconds to do your line, 5 seconds to do your line. Not only were the lines so complicated and way too poetic, also the lines were like said, I felt like in a rush. It didn't take, I felt like if they had taken the time to show these actors saying these, at least even one line, slowly, I would have felt the impact. But nah, it was like, you said line 1, now say line 2, now say line 3, now say line 4. It was on like a freaking timer. And then second part I hated was weak CGI. A large portion of this movie, they spent this on the ocean. And the ocean, it looks so artificial. And when you spend a large portion of your movie, like a big portion of your movie on the ocean, or when you spend quite a amount of portion of your scenes on the ocean or on a certain scenes, you would spend actually time to make sure that it looks good, the texture is nice. I just felt it was so artificial. Like the lake, I just felt like every time you go, for example, you would be ocean and then you would go to the land, ocean to the land, ocean to the land. And I felt like all the ocean scenes, it was always the same, almost always the same. It felt so artificial because all the scenes looked so same. Most of the scenes looked so same. They didn't bother, okay, I'm showing day 2, I'm showing day 1 here, and I'm showing day 2 here, and I'm showing day 3 here. Let's make it look a little bit different. No, I feel like all these CGI was kind of bad. And then another part I hated was, I really didn't like, is wasted characters. I don't understand why the love interest and also Yogi Babu has to be there. I understand why, because maybe promotion promotional, for marketing, they had to put these two characters there. But I feel like if the scriptwriter or the director could have been more stingy with their time, more stingy, more stingy with the time that with the screen time, and with their dialogues, they could have used these two characters, Yogi Babu and Disha Patani's characters, better. They could have I felt like they should have rewritten these two characters, because every time Yogi Babu, the comedy was so annoying. I swear to God, some of his comedy felt so cringeworthy. His comedy scenes were so cringy. I really couldn't laugh. I don't understand why do you need to have these comedy scenes when it's like a serious movie. Why do you need to have this comedy? The narrative was really bad. And these Yogi Babu, I understand to an extent why, but oh my God, why is the love interest? Couldn't you have written her better? Especially with everyone talking about how female. What is this? This is not like freaking early 2000s or something. A girl is there to do a dance and then she's gone. No man, this is freaking 2024. I can't believe we have a character like this. I know like a lot of people complained about Pushpa, like Rashmika's character there, but no, I really liked her character there. It was the way she was introduced. I honestly, like, people were complaining, but I'm like, you guys should complain about this kind of characters. People were complaining about Rashmika's role in Pushpa, but I feel like her role there was much more, of course, much more interesting. Way too interesting than this girl's character here. This is freaking 2024. Couldn't you have written it better? Basically, I felt like the love interest and the comedy sidekick didn't add anything. They just felt unnecessary and they could have been written better. And another negative part is the pacing issues. The first half felt so rushed. Let me just take a moment to rest, to breathe. And I felt like as soon as I turned my head around, I'm at a different spot. That's how it felt for me, the first half of the movie. It felt kind of rushed and chaotic. It was just like scenes after scenes after scenes of sound. It's like, here, show character introductions. It was just, and let's get into the positives. I really liked the costume. I felt like it could have been reworked a little bit more. They could have spent a lot more time on the costume, especially on Suriya. But I felt like the movie picked a little bit on the second half. I really liked, I know people didn't like it, but I really liked how they showed these people living, their costume. I really liked that. And the snow forest scenes. And then there's like a snow forest scene that happens like in the second. There's the snow forest scene. I loved that scene. The way they filmed it, I loved it. And then, of course, his acting is so incredible as always. And what else? And then you could see that they had, and then, there's another thing, is that you could see that these people had dedication. They put so much love. They had like so much love for this movie. But like the costume, the amount of effort that these guys, and when you watch the interviews too, you see that these guys had so much love for this movie. They loved what they were doing, but I felt like this was like an experimental movie. That's why I want to be more forgiving, because usually like Tamil people don't make like movies set in ancient time, and if they ever do, which is hardly ever, and if they ever do, they usually make about kings and queens and etc. Rarely in tribes and all that. This while I was watching this thing, this reminded me of Horizon Dawn, like those bandit camps. You'd have to go and kill these people. Aloy had to go and kill. It reminded me of that. It's just a side note, but it reminded me of so much of that. But you could basically see that everyone loved what they were doing. They put so much love. But this, because we hardly ever make movies like this. This just went into a big, huge, colossal I wouldn't say colossal, but it just went into it just was a messy movie, just so messy. But I really hope that part two they improve a lot. They improved, rework. I don't know if they have already finished filming for part two, but I hope that these guys rewrite the script a lot better. I wish they are more stingy with their time. They there were so many stupid lines. They're like, and then they carefully think about narration and all that. Anyways, basically Kanguva has flawed, but it's still worth seeing especially for Suriya's performance. I love that guy and the visual. If you're into like big experimental movies, give it, especially set in like tribal. I always like those survival kind of movies. I always liked those kind of stuff, tribal, like people living in groups together. People were still hunter gatherers. I really like those movies like that. And yeah, this was a movie